Welcome back to this next installment of Real Clear Daf video, in which we like to take a closer look at something from the week's Daf Yomi. This week I want to discuss Wednesday's Daf, which presented a dispute between Rav and Ula about what exact part of the sciatic nerve running down the leg is prohibited. Specifically, Rav and Ula argued as follows. Rav said that we can't say that the prohibition of Gid Hanasheh refers to the primary stem of the sciatic nerve. Why? Because Rav says that part is hard, it's completely inedible, so it can't be the Torah was prohibiting that. Must be the Torah actually prohibited the kenoknos, the parts that the offshoots, which are softer and are edible. But Ula says no, even though you're right, eitzu, even though it's inedible, still the Torah did prohibit the actual main stem of the sciatic nerve. So the question is, how does Ula respond to Rav's point? That it seems illogical that the Torah would prohibit something, don't eat something which isn't a food. How does that make sense? So in the Achronim we find two approaches. The first approach of Pri Megadim, Chazon Ish, and others is that even though in the conventional sense we wouldn't assume, at least, that this thing could be called a food, but the Torah said it is a food. The Torah is telling us that you can't eat this. By saying you can't eat this, included in that is the Torah saying that halachically, at least, this physically inedible portion of the Gid Hanasheh, the sciatic nerve, is halachically a food. So that's relatively straightforward. We find a different approach from the Rogatchover Gaon. The Rogatchover Gaon says, you're right, it's not a food. In no way could we consider this completely inedible sciatic nerve a food. It's not a food. And yet, there's a prohibition here. So what is this prohibition? Like in Ksubas, ma tivo shel uberzeh. What is the essential nature of this mysterious prohibition according to the Rogatchover? So I think that actually Art Scroll used an English word here, which I found very helpful. The way Art Scroll said over Ula's opinion is with the word ingest, which I think very cleverly encapsulates the point here, that you're right, it's not a prohibition, do not eat. The prohibition is do not ingest. I wonder if, according to the Rogatchover, one would transgress if he had himself opened up and they put a Gid Hanasheh inside of him. And since it has nothing to do with eating, per se, it's not related seemingly to the palate. So perhaps he would violate, even if they put the Gid Hanasheh inside him. I'm not sure. But still, doesn't it seem a little strange? If we take a simple reading of the pasuk, Torah says, it says they don't eat it. So how does this fit with the Rogatchover's approach? So I wasn't sure about this, but then I have to be a little ahead. So I learned Sunday's daf and Sarivavim Beis, and actually the Gemara says there is quite interesting, and I think actually makes things better for the Rogatchover's approach. For the Gemara there discusses, the Mishnah says that we have a dispute between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan. If somebody eats a small Gid Hanasheh, it's not the size of a kazayas. Rabbi Yehuda says he's not chayv malchus for that. Rabbanan say he is liable. And the Gemara tells us that they argue, like part of the underlying dispute here is the language of achila in the pasuk. Again, the Torah says that the Bnei Yisrael do not eat Gid Hanasheh. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yehuda makes one drasha from the word achila. The Rabbanan make a different drasha. Now, we have to stop a second and ask ourselves, why should there be any drasha? Isn't the Torah just stating the basic prohibition? Yaakov and the Malach had a fight, therefore Bnei Yisrael do not eat the Gid Hanasheh. Why should we make any drasha? But according to the Rogatchover, I think it makes perfect sense. According to Rogatchover, this is not a food. We're not really discussing eating something because it's not a food. So the question becomes, what do we do with this strange language of achila that the Torah uses? So Rabbi Yehuda makes one drasha, the Rabbanim make a different drasha. So in a way, it's beautiful actually for the Rogatchover. Again, the point is, the prohibition of Gid Hanasheh is not do not eat really. It's not really do not eat, it's not a food. It's more like do not ingest. The question is, okay, the Torah sort of describes it as an eating prohibition. So what like halachic point does that convey? But the essential prohibition is, fundamentally different than your typical, do not eat something that's not kosher. So I just wanted to share that fascinating approach to the Rogatchover. Hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.